What's happening, fam? L.A.R movement still moving. The book is entitled Lessons from a Non-Custodial Father. It's at Amazon, Kindle, and Create Space. A link will be in the description box below as usual. The Unassimilated is the title to this one. I actually had it down on my little list. I wrote it a couple of days ago. Wound up doing a hangout with Solo yesterday, and part of that topic kind of came up. So I'm gonna go ahead and do it now. What I mean by unassimilated is this. Black people in general are in America, but we don't assimilate to the dominant culture of America. That's one thing we don't do. Uh, and people figure because uh, Caucasian culture, quote unquote, dominates society we are going to that we just fall in line when that's really not the case. I brought up this analogy in the hangout when I was talking about religion. Like American culture is just like Christianity. Um, Everybody in the Bible has a story about black people, and being in Christianity whitewashed it and tried to sell and sold it back to black people. But the problem is, people are smart enough to realize that this this religion ain't your religion, it's mine. So the culture you swear you got off of this is actually my culture. So why, quote unquote, assimilate to your stuff when your stuff is actually a whitewashed version of my stuff? So it's the same thing, you know, and that's the problem. That's why we don't assimilate. Other things about that come into play that, when you're a black American, you kind of notice that people of all ethnic backgrounds and nationalities come to America and they do assimilate because everybody comes here with their culture and then they lose it. They might represent their culture for a holiday, but as far as every day, they're not who they are every day. They're not their culture every day. And what I mean by that is the dominant culture is American culture, right? And what winds up happening is I don't care if you're Italian, I don't care if you're Mexican, I don't care if you're uh, Nigerian, I don't care if you're Chinese, I just don't care. Like, you come here and you lose your your culture because you want to assimilate. And because of that, I think I don't know this for a fact, but I think you start to resent yourselves because you can be in America and be an American but not give up your culture. And what I mean by unassimilated, the reason why I say we're unassimilated, that we don't assimilate because we're under attack. The same way per se that Muslims in America are under attack because they won't assimilate. They're gonna be Muslim in public. They're not gonna be Muslim in private and American in public. So that becomes a problem. Like they are who they are all the time. They're not giving up their religious culture just because um, this country wants people to be whitewashed. It's not going to happen. And you can see that, you know, because the minute people assimilate, then all of a sudden things work out for them. Like in my community, most men don't assimilate. Homosexual men, they assimilate. That's why they're in a different demographic of how they're treated, you know. But straight men, no. The women like are on the fence. They assimilate to a degree, but to a degree they don't. So to a degree they get preferential treatment, and to a degree they get thrown under the bus. But it's ironic because when you see other people, they come from their homeland, they have their home language. A lot of times they get in so many um, confrontations with people because people tell them to speak English. You know, there was that video recently of the guy, the disabled guy in a wheelchair, um, cussing out the Puerto Rican family because the mother, the mother in that family was talking to her son in Spanish, and he just flat out disrespected him and his mother. And I think they both were disabled vets. So I guess for the Puerto Rican guy, it was just news for him to see that, and he had to film it and get it on camera. But for me watching, I'm like, you should have known that already. It's not. I mean, even if he was a disabled vet and fought and lost his limbs just like you did, you should have pretty much known that that's how he was gonna. That the not that he was gonna act that way, but you might wind up getting that treatment somewhere along the line because part of what this country wants people to do is to assimilate to what they feel is the dominant culture. Why I'm getting back to what I'm about to say. See, with us, it's not the dominant culture because in America, while this was quote unquote a melting pot, this is the melting pot is a bunch of stolen cultures to say it's Caucasian culture. I'm going to show you what I mean by that. The positives in American culture want to always be attributed to Caucasians. Now, when Caucasian people do something negative, it's American culture. And then when you want to pin something on somebody else, it's negative. It's black culture, as if it's a negative. The only problem with that is this: a lot of the things that American culture uses as a positives, they got from black culture. You know, and the other group of people who have the same problem that us black people have and that Muslims have is Native Americans. You know, they assimilated and then they realize I don't want to do that. And that's why you don't see Native Americans like talk about. You know, they're just not into participating into America, to assimilating into America. So, you know, you never take that into consideration. But if you want to see who's assimilated and who's not, you know, just go in public and look how different people are treated, and look how different groups are treated. You know, you don't see a lot of other groups getting attacked by excuse me by law enforcement like you do heterosexual black men. You know, we are enemy to this country by the way this country treats us, obviously. And one of the reasons why is because we don't assimilate. You know, if we go somewhere, there's a dress code to make sure black people can't get in. We want to buy something, there's a black tax. You know, we want to live somewhere, it's kind of black codes. You know what I'm saying? Gerrymandering, because when we do things, it changes the dynamics because we don't necessarily fit in, and we're not trying to fit in. And you know that's why when the last president, Barack Obama, was elected, They're taking over because you know that was we were supposed to be so fractured we couldn't come together just like that and get things done. And the question is, most other people feel like they probably can't do that because their best interest is to be accepted into America. People are hoping that they're treated like the Italians and maybe the Irish who were um, gifted into the category of being white. So you see a lot of people swirling, and a lot of other, we talk about black people bedwenching, but a lot of non-blacks and non-whites do a lot of bedwenching when they assimilate because you could literally say we came over here and created our own culture after our culture was stolen from us when we got here. So, but you other people came here as willing slaves to give up your culture. You freely sold your culture and yourself up the river to be an American. So in some ways, your your men may be more financially ahead and more safer in public, but it really came at the cost of your dignity. And some guys, and some women, over time, the pressure of giving up your culture and your dignity, and you watching your family get further and further away from who you truly are to be American, I think drives some of you people crazy. And that's one thing that us as people we're not gonna give up. It's just not gonna happen. Not to mention that you know we're the ones who are always talking about people being culture vultures. So you know we keep saying it like whatever this American culture is, it's probably stolen from us anyway. So why would we assimilating it into our own stuff? Just my opinion. I'm out.